Good afternoon, viewers of Lightcast TV. This is Ninjal Kolek. On your screens is President William Ruto with various government personnel. Currently, he is addressing the state of the nation in terms of what is happening in matters El Nino rains. They have just come from a meeting of various multi-agency teams involved in assessing, managing what is happening.
Precipitation in the country, the rains have resulted in an emergency situation in Kenya. Many roads across the country, especially in the northern part of Kenya, have been washed away. There are trucks stuck everywhere with food, medicines, fuel that is now unable to reach the destinations in various parts of the country, especially in northern Kenya.
And as the president has reiterated, there are 70 people who have died because of El Nino, and about 36,160 households have been displaced so far. And the meteorological department has reiterated that these rains will continue, so there is need for the government to prepare appropriately. And according to what the president has said, they have to manage food, water and medicine situations.
Therefore, we need to prepare ourselves for the emergency situation that is going to ensue as a result. And taking into account the situation in the country now to do with our roads, the food situation, the water situation, the medicine delivery situation in Kenya.
So this coming Monday, the cabinet will have a meeting to manage the El Nino disaster and to ensure that they are up to speed to ensure that this kind of disaster does not take them by surprise. So in cooperation with the multi-agencies and other government departments, the National Disaster Operations Center has taken the lead in the coordination of movement of information and using it to manage the situation in the country. Different departments like the Council of Governors, the ministries, various stakeholders will also be involved to ensure that this El Nino disaster is mitigated and nipped into the bud. According to the president, 2.4 billion has been made available to ensure that there is food in various parts of the country. And the team that he has tasked
to manage the situations across the country, be it roads and opening of those roads, be it the situation of fuel or the situation of food. As you're all aware, last week, government of Kenya made available resources to the special, to the Ministry of ASAL to make sure that adequate food is available. Already 2.4 billion shillings have been made available to buy food and to make sure that that food is delivered where it is most needed. Adequate resources will be required, and that is why this team is now working on numbers so that we can mobilize the resources necessary to make sure that we attend to the roads that have been washed away, provide alternative roads and pathways to different parts of the country, to make sure that we deliver medicine to different parts of the country, and to ensure that no part of Kenya is left in the dark by making sure that we deliver fuel.
And also, President Ruto said that the KDF, the Kenya Defense Forces, will be tasked to airlift commodities like food and medicine required to different parts of the country. The places where the roads are unpassable, the KDF will be tasked to do that. And also the NYS and the Engineer Department of the Kenya Defense Forces to be mobilized as well in this season of crisis as due to El Nino. And the president has also reiterated that all road contractors will be involved in emergency intervention activities.
And we have also agreed with the Ministry of Roads that all the road contractors in the different parts of Kenya will now be mobilized to provide emergency intervention services to make sure that roads are opened in different parts of Kenya. And we are going to mobilize the resources necessary to make sure that contractors on the ground in different parts of Kenya are mobilized for emergency intervention activities.
President Ruto has also said the CS of Health, the Red Cross, and the Council of Governors will mobilize to provide medicine, commodities for water treatment and disease management. At this time of El Nino rains, people are prone to diseases such as cholera, diarrhea, and so the Ministry of Health has been tasked to provide leadership with different agencies so as to ensure that health commodities are distributed in all parts of the country.
The lead agency in making sure that all the roads, especially the trunk roads around Kenya, KENHA will provide leadership, and the Ministry of Transport and Roads will make sure that sufficient resources, human, machine, and money is available to make sure that that process is undertaken. The Ministry of Water will also work with the Council of Governors to make sure that where water infrastructure has been submerged, to ensure that there is water for drinking and for use, so that we avoid the now emerging cases of cholera in some parts and malaria in other parts and diarrhea in other parts of Kenya. We want to make sure that this situation is managed, and as a result, the emergency situation has necessitated Cabinet to meet on Monday as a first thing, so that we can receive the reports from this multi-agency team, process those reports, and provide intervention mechanisms to make sure that we manage this situation.
And he also said that the Ministry of Energy will inform citizens where the dams are filled up so that they can be relocated. So information is very key. So the Ministry of Energy has been tasked to ensure that when the dams are filled up during this El Nino rains, that information is disseminated earlier to the citizens so that they can have time to relocate them to highlands where water cannot reach them as per El Nino issue is concerned. Then we have the provincial administration, according to President Ruto, who has tasked the provincial administration to inform citizens in places with mudslides so that they are not affected as well.
The information that we have is that rain is going to continue. Kenya is already soaked, and water will be now flowing when it rains, and therefore we run a higher risk of flooding in different parts of Kenya. Meanwhile, we are informing citizens in the short rain areas to take advantage of the fertilizers that have been made available by government, to make sure that they do their top dressing, especially in areas where we are seeing a good crop. We want to also take advantage of these rains to make sure that we produce enough food for the next season. And the Ministry of Agriculture has been tasked to make sure that where support to farmers is required, that support is made available.
In the issue of security, President Ruto has reiterated that the security of this country has been affected due to inaccessibility in some areas as a result of roads being blocked. The blockages of roads and places, pathways have been inaccessible. So the National Police Service under the Ministry of Interior has been tasked by the President to work with different stakeholders to secure the country. And last but not least, the Ministry of Treasury has been tasked by the President to explore different funding mechanisms so as to have adequate recommendations. And this report should be submitted on coming Monday, so as to give interventions on how multi-agencies can work together to try and maneuver this El Nino crisis that is currently affecting the Kenyans amidst of all other issues that are happening.
I want to inform the people of Kenya that we are appropriately seized of this matter. My deputy has been consulting with different stakeholders in the last 3 to 4 weeks. We now believe that we are better prepared going into the future, especially with the coming together of the national government and county government with all the other agencies, and now having a coordinated approach under the National Disaster Operations Center to make sure that we centralize all the information coming from different parts of Kenya. We process that information and provide adequate interventions from a one government approach, both at the national and at the county level.
People are wondering whether the government is to intervene or not. So actually, the president is taking matters into his hands in ensuring that the country is stabilized, the country is relieved of the stress of handling this El Nino disaster. Thank you for watching. This has been your host Ninjal Kolek from Lightcast TV. Please subscribe to Lightcast TV on Facebook, YouTube. Just have a good evening.